this many people receive what? Either jobless claims, or unemployment benefits, or food stamps, or social security benefits, or social entitlement, or one way or another, they could not they could not profess their jobs as properly as possible because the economy is not fully fledged at this moment because of the coronavirus. So they were actually one way or another still relying on Uncle Sam's pocket to run their economy on their own, because they cannot actually find a job, full-time job, or they cannot actually guarantee the full payment of their income or wages. Right? There is a difference between wages. Wages are more like salaries. They would actually receive their money by being placed on the payroll, but the income is really the total amount of the money you might actually receive from your job place. All right? But the thing is, this many people are still actually, somehow economically affected by the COVID-19, so they need to seek aid from the governmental authorities. They were actually being on the receiving end of the financial aids by actually redeeming their social entitlements, because the government should be the first place who would secure the welfare and the well-being and the will of its own people, right? So it's really sad, but the thing is, we can actually, feel hopeful about our future because the economy is waking up. It's really nice. Right. It is waking up. It's gradually, but pretty much reliably. What are those major factors that eventually help us to experience this significant breakthrough? Because it's for the first time ever since the pandemic crisis broke out, we have this lower number. This was a really high bar and high threshold that has almost never been breached ever since the pandemic crisis in March of 2020, right? For the first time, it actually went down below 700,000 threshold. In the United States, jobless claims ever since the pandemic crisis were always above or slightly close to the 700,000 high bar. 700,000 was really the threshold. But today, when new jobless claims are actually being reported, today, jobless claims is published. This is a developing story. It's really happening. It is actually, called a developing story that is actually coming out. Let me actually secure this one. So total amount of people who actually somehow obtained and received the jobless claims, these numbers are actually being reported right now, but those people already received them. You understand the timeline difference right now? 685,000 people. These people already received jobless claims. They've already received it. The number is reported now by the authority. So Christian Romano is working on it to analyze that, right? So these number of people have received the job claim. That means that they are known to be jobless. But what's been so surprising, the number is being reported now. The actual time of the report is being done now. However, these amount of people already redeemed their rights to claim jobless benefits. You understand that, right? The report that is just published by the Labor Department is being worked on by the US press, right? However, people already claim this. It's really, to me, it's a really easy. It's easier than Korean one. Already. I hate this. I cannot write that down because the damn fucking things are not working. It's not me thinking about it. No. Claim jobless unemployment benefits. So I have no preparation. This is really the breaking news. I have no idea about it. The report that is just published by the U.S. Labor Department is being worked on by the U.S. press right now. But the problem is the people already actually redeemed their rights to claim this jobless or unemployment benefits in the past. This has already been done, but the report is just published. 이거는 just published 지금 된 거예요. This is already published, but the thing is, it is being worked on by U.S. journalists right now. But the actual event that truly took place and finished is these many people already obtained their jobless benefits. That's a done deal. It's done. Yeah, already redeemed and acquired. It's already claimed. Closed. But this is really kind of shocking because ever since the New Deal, there was no devastation like this, no economic recession or depression. This much great enough to have almost like a 700,000 jobless claims almost every month and every week. Unbelievably, every week, this is a weekly jobless claims, right? Ever since the Great Depression, when FDR was in charge of the White House, almost, no American would claim this much a great amount of jobless entitlements. The 700,000 threshold has never been breached ever since the 2020 pandemic crisis. This was, almost like, every day we were living in a record-breaking economic devastation and economic disparity. Because Christian Lomano thought, in those days, we thought, we already hit the highest. We already actually have a new high in this game. Well, she actually, eventually had to make modulation to report on another high bar that just surpassed. Wow. Every single day, we're actually opening our eyes to new record-setting stats. Wow. That's unbelievable in a very tragic way. These many people claimed their jobless benefits. Oh my gosh. But that kind of history was almost never stopped until this moment. This week's, jobless claim for the first time ever since, 2020 coronavirus crisis. For the first time, it somehow actually, goes down below the 700,000 threshold. This high bar has almost, has been too sanctified to be breached ever since the pandemic devastation that completely brought entire economic system to a stillstand. Right. It was almost unthinkable. Finally, we reached, a new level that was, a lot better than 700,000. Everyone in this industry thought that there was no end in sight. We would constantly actually live until we would have enormous breakthrough in a vaccine development and a vaccine rollout. But finally, it just actually, just actually goes down a bit. But this is a very great improvement. This, significant development truly reflects a shimmer of a hope and a glimmer of a hope, tiny inkling of a taint of a hope that we can actually truly overcome this together, so we can actually go back to normalcy in the summer, possibly, probably. People really hope that would be the case with one heart, right? Yeah. But we still have a many miles to go, long way to go, or many miles to go. Why? Because up until, and even at this moment, almost like 19.4 million Americans still actually rely on the U.S. government or the state government for the sake of financial aid, because their jobs are not enough to bring the food on the table. They really need to think about the bread and butter issue because of the pandemic fallout. There is a massive devastation in the economic sector, and almost it's really it's a sequel to Great Depression, when the FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was in the office, right? It's really kind of another earthquake, the seismic event that completely bombarded the entire economic system, right? Ever since the New Deal and the Great Recession, technically the Great Recession took place ahead of time. So the Franklin Delano actually implemented the New Deal, and the one of the most iconic event that was executed by the FDR was the Tennessee Valley Authorization, and many different policies part of the New Deal, right? But the thing is, we are actually, we're gradually phasing into a hopeful phase of our lifetime, right? We are gradually moving into the hopeful phase. This would be a shimmer of hope. We really actually hope, everyone in the industry really hopes this would be turning the page. Turning the page means we could actually move on from very darkest side of our time to the brighter one. We really wish this would be the end of pandemic devastation, or pandemic fallout, or pandemonium, so we could gradually go back to the normal, or the life we used to know. Hopefully this would be, like our last chance to deal with this type of human misery, when people in this rich country should worry about how to bring home bacon, or how they would actually take care of their children. The bread and butter issue would be constantly worrying them because of the slash in the business hours of their restaurants. Like these kind of concerns would eventually be away, hopefully. We should keep our fingers crossed, right? That's what, everyone is thinking. Turning the page means, what? It's a really easy expression. It's a very common. You just actually flip the page means we really hope, this would be turning the corner. Even actually when President Donald Trump was actually in the office, he falsely argued that, coronavirus is turning the corner. It's actually moving on to the different phase, because turning the corner has a little bit different nuance. Something bad is turning the corner. That means it would actually be contained, or it would actually be disempowered. But turning the page means, from the bad type of from the worst type of a case, we're actually moving into the positive or brighter future. That's a turning the page. Hopefully, we would have closed this chapter full of agony and human misery. We would actually move on to brighter future, where we can all dream of a better life, right? Hopefully, everyone actually in the economy really hopes this indication would have signed off or signalized something better in store for all of us, by turning the page from the darkest hour of our modern days. We really wish it could actually have a better future altogether. So this kind of situation really comes to me naturally. Turning the page means we just actually really wish, we wanted to move on from, the darkest phase of our life to the brighter side, to the brighter phase of our life. Turning the page means the end of one chapter. That means we actually, no longer need to deal with this, foregone conclusion or already closed event, right? So hopefully this would be turning the page. Like turning the page means the end of something a little bit unpleasant. It could be in the context something positive too, but in this case, hopefully we would actually move on from the coronavirus to our everyday life that we used to know before. It's like, we are actually, having not a new normal, but we actually wish we could reconstruct our society together so we can actually have a summer vacation instead of staycation. We can actually, have this kind of hope in store, right? That's really turning the page. It's a little bit similar to turning the corner. I mean, turning the corner is really something really unpleasant is being curved. So it's no longer at its best, so at its apex. So right now, you can actually see in this way. Unemployment, jobless benefits in the United States finally turned the corner to actually reach somewhat lower level than it used to be. So, it just actually, breaches its threshold that seems so indefatigable or, almost, impossible to be conquered, impregnable at the time. What was really the high bar? 700,000. That is finally breached. Isn't that a wonderful news? That is a shimmer of a hope. That is a Hoffnungsträger. Auf Deutsch, das ist der Hoffnungsträger. Vielleicht dieser wieder ein erster Schritt nach vorne zu lassen, unsere Träumen ein bisschen heller Zukunft in unserer Zivilisation vielleicht. Isn't that so? Yeah, genau. Eventually. But the thing is, we still have many miles to go. But why, in the first place, we experienced anyhow, a very meaningful breakthrough? Why? Why we experienced this type of very significant and poignant advance at this moment? No matter how, distant we are from our regular life, our normalcy or quotidian life we used to know. First, the spring is coming. The weather is getting warmer and warmer. Eventually, more of outdoor activities are being opened up, even in the job sector. Not just the kids, playing the soccer kids are playing soccer games on the ground because of the warm weather. But we can definitely witness more of a construction sites in operation across the nation, right? Or more of a job posts are being opened up due to this warm weather, thanks to this, pleasant weather conditions, right? You can say that, right? And at the very beginning, I said the kids are playing soccer games on the ground. It's just one example. That's what I wanted to say. At the very beginning, it was just a full race. Kids playing soccer games on the ground is one example. And later, I expanded this sentence to say that, not just, I said it, I actually made a detour from that. Not just the kids are playing soccer games on the ground. I said that this... At the very beginning, I said the kids are playing soccer games like that. That's an example. That was a fractured sentence. Don't get that wrong. I later actually immediately expanded this sentence saying that kids are playing soccer games on the ground like this. So, if you ever actually listened to only the first version, it was a fractured sentence. I said, like, kids playing soccer games on the ground with no V verb. It was actually just a fractured phrase. It was not a full sentence. Don't actually think that I actually said, grammatically flawed one. I really wanted to use it as a phrase, fracture the clause, not really a full sentence. So later, I was out of suspicion, expanded it. It's a full sentence, I said immediately, because I was afraid of actually being misheard. But the thing is, I kind of explained everything. The weather condition and the what? And the vaccine rollout. In the United States, the people witnessed the effectiveness and efficiency of a vaccine rollout ever since the Joe Biden administration, right? That's very helpful. It's a great welcoming news ever since there was exchange of change of power. Change of power, there is a great hope, right? People actually witnessed much more efficient rollout of vaccines. That means, more jabs are being put into people's arms. That means more and more people are being inoculated. That means the mass immunization is still underway with a great efficiency, right? That's really amazing at a great speed. And number 3, it's all about spirit. People no longer need to boost the morale by squeezing out whatever resources, right? Because the people are genuinely, once again, feeling hopeful and optimistic about what would come and what to come. So they were actually, at least being more engaged with the economic activities. Investors are coming back to the markets, right? Those are really one of the reasons why we actually witness the more and more positive influence and a clout, and that is being actually witnessed in the economic sector, right? Yeah, this is true. And the more positive, influencers are actually coming. That could be either events, or that could actually be human being. But no, I don't really need to think about it. If you really actually, I just want to say one thing. But you can actually say that when you actually want to mention influences, you can definitely say the influences. It's not fine. More and more positive influences are being introduced into the economic sector. But if you want to actually say the clout, it's not really likely to be the case. You should actually say the more clout would be brought. Influence can be both way. Non-count and account, both are fine. It's really the case. I really do know it. But I really actually thought that you could actually be mistaken about my usage, because I'm always conscious of those naysayers. I have to always actually extinguish a fire before it gets too big. That's a problem. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you can actually say that more of a positive influences are being brought to the market. That's a fine. The economic market, or you just say the market. It's a fine. In American English, I heard that many people actually say the market can actually never be attached to anything. It can be on its own. More of a positive influences are being brought to market. That's it. It's completely fine, and no grammatical flow, at least in the realm of journalistic language. I read it from Wall Street Journal many times. They use it in that way very often. I saw it. But clout, if you really want to actually mention clout as influence, you should never actually say clout. When you say clout, it's really like, fist bumps. You actually, hit someone with a fist, like, she gave me clout, like this. But the thing is, I've already actually explained more, and people are really getting positive. So they are actually, waking up from this long sleep, They've been actually pouring more money into it, and more hiring would be done. So you can actually check out the local job notification board, bulletin board, or you can actually go to Indeed or Monster.com to see more of announcements or job hiring notifications, right? That would be possible. Because the people are really feeling great about this, vaccine rollout and efficiency of a Biden administration. So they think that they can eventually have their own economy back on the ground sooner or later. That's really one of the reasons. Probably. But we still have many miles to go. That's what I said. It's really easy. Excuse me? And if you really want me to actually write down the 19.05 million people, it's really easy. In American English, it's not really that difficult. It's like was that one? Yeah. But anyway, current, let me actually repeat this one. It used to be always around, or even actually much higher than 700,000. But this time, the jobless claims report just actually shows that 684,000 people just received that, right? You want me to actually write that down in case you think that I've been actually flawed when it comes to stating my opinion clearly. Let me actually show you. A latest report jobless claims shows 684,000 people received benefits. I can actually always make the difference. Not really always. I'm really not smart. But I feel really bad, you know what? I really can actually understand this. It's not really that difficult. But sometimes people are really serious about silly mistakes. Because, it's not really something that I feel uncomfortable. But last time I literally dropped the touch pen. Yeah, the stilo. It was actually, really on the floor. All of a sudden I dropped it because my sloppy fingers just dropped it after many hours. But it was really clicked. That kind of mistake was never been actually notified by them. I'm not lying. Because of one of the main guilt I actually thought I committed was, playing too many hours. Everything would be counted. You're not like the rest of people. No, it's not really about tonality. It's really ridiculous. Do you really think you can actually, turning the page means a little bit similar to turning the corner. Moving on to next phase, I don't really need to think. It begs no question. Obviously. It's so fucking easy. We're actually, heading into the better future. We're finally actually so done with this darkest phase. We are probably getting out of this tunnel, endless dark tunnel. Finally, there is a shimmer of a hope. A ray of light is at the end of the tunnel, probably. Yeah, that's a really fucking crazy easy, illusion. Ray of light is there. Just actually shines on us. In light of this new jobless claims. Report. Yeah. It's really easy. I don't really need to think about it. But you have to say the jobless claims report. Yeah, it's very fucking easy. 685 people, 5,000 people. Oh, by the way, I have to say the 685. My initial version isn't correct. This isn't really the number who just actually received the jobless claims, and this report is just being published. Okay, the report is just published. But the people who obtained them already had done that. Okay. Because this is a weekly announcement of a jobless claims. And 8.9, what is this number? 18.9 million. How would you actually write that down? 18.9 million. 18.9 million is like this. Yeah. This is an Arabian number. And this is 18.9 million people. What are these people? These people are still one way or another on the receiving end of American government's financial aid, either food stamps, or all different financial aids, social security benefits, or even actually entitlements, because of the pandemic crisis or any adversities. Anything can be done. They're still obtaining, uncle's names of financial help, right? That's really the thing. By the way, this is a weekly jobless claims announcement, and the announcement is just made, but throughout the last week, this many people received them. That's really the case, because after 1 week and 1 month, they actually tally up the number, peep. They tabulated them. How many people received them? These kind of numbers were eventually announced. But we are finally at the end of the dark tunnel. It's this tunnel. It's really a dark tunnel. Dark tunnel. You see that? It's really the darkest tunnel. We finally see a ray of light. Ray of light. Or an inkling of hope. Yeah, I don't really need to think about it. No inkling of a doubt about my accuracy. A shimmer of a hope. Auf Deutsch, das heißt Hoffnungsträger. It's really easy. Or glimmer of a hope. Turning the page means, not just you just flip the pages. It means, it just actually, it means, or what else can I say? It denotes, oh yeah, it's a better one. It denotes, it means, its meaning is, it means, or it denotes, its meaning is, just actually moving on to the next phase. It's actually, putting that behind us. Putting that behind us means what? Oh, that is really in the next, in the fast chapter. Fast what is it? Dat is vergangenheit. That means that is a past chapter. That is really the done deal. So we're actually, getting out of it. We're actually, growing out of it. We're actually, moving ahead by putting that behind us. We are actually, coming out of this. Do I have to explain further? Do you not think that this is childish? It's really ridiculous.